Silivestru. I work at BitHound. Today's presentation is going to be get focused, 3 tenets to get updated, exactly what that says there. We're going to just kind of pretty much get right into it. I'm the lead developer or / code poet at BitHound. What BitHound does is we are a code or a JavaScript analytics platform designed to help you write the best JavaScript you can possible every day. Dev team, individual. My talk today is going to be focused mainly on commits, strategies around committing, and that kind of a like. If you couldn't tell from the title and from this picture, it's Indiana Jones themed, because if you're going to talk about Git, Indiana Jones is my favorite movie of all time, Indiana Jones, The Last Crusade. So we're going to make it themed to that because I'm the speaker and I can do it. So, if you have seen this talk before, I apologize, it's going to be exactly the same thing. So basically, when you first start out with Git, you're told 3 rules. These are the 3 rules. So write what you did when you write a commit message. Don't use rebase because it's either too destructive or too complicated. And commit early and commit often. I'm going to explain to you why these 3 things are not quite right and why you might be able to change them a little bit. Now, these rules on paper, they look pretty good. But when you when you apply these rules as written, you might run into problems a little bit later. It might be a suboptimal Git project, and I'll kind of get into why I think that might be the case. But firstly, if there's anybody in this room that doesn't understand what this picture is, I'm sorry to tell you, but the rest of the talk's not going to make any sense. So I want to make sure that everybody has a basic fundamental understanding of Git and how it works. If it does, then we're all set. In order to illustrate the points of Git, I'm going to be writing a very simple web crawler that goes to my local coffee shop, scrapes the website, and returns back the list of coffees that they're serving that day. I'm only doing this because we need to log commit messages against something, and we might as well build something a little cool as we go through it. So going with the very first rule of write what you did, I'm saying your code is a precious thing. Every time you change your code, it's a big deal. Every time you make a commit, you're either making your code worse or you're making your code better. So instead of telling me what you did, I'm saying you should tell me why you did it. And the reason for this is extremely simple. We're all very smart people, and there's no reason why you should be telling me what I can already see from the diffs and the commit. Tell me why you did something so that I can understand why this commit is happening. By doing this, when I read the change log, every time I see a change, whether I'm investigating it or whether I'm just debugging something or reading through the log, I can understand the concept behind why we've changed this code base. I can look into the commit and look at the diffs and see what you did. Telling me why eliminates the need for me to ask you. Because how many times have you looked at a commit, seen what it is, read the commit message, and simply like, I don't know what the hell, why you did any of this. And you have to go and ask the developer yourself. That's a time waster. We don't need to do that if we just apply this strategy. And it's going to be a little tough to kind of figure out how to do this because you're going to be so used to writing what you did. And when you write what you did, switching your mind into changing that is going to be a little bit difficult. But when in doubt, I want you to ask why you're doing this, why you're making this commit. Because if you can't answer that question, then you need to rethink the commit entirely. Is the commit even required? Is the commit not atomic enough? Is it too atomic, right? And for anyone who can't tell, that's the King of the Crystal Skull poster. I hate that movie, so I used it in this slide because I don't want to talk about it. So just to kind of illustrate what I mean, to kind of wrap your head around it, I'm just going to do a quick demo kind of showing you how we did things. If it's not obvious, we do all of these at BitHound. So every strategy that I'm going to show you today, we use at BitHound, and I'll kind of show you how it helps us in the process. So I'm assuming nobody can see that. So how's that? Is that good? A little better? How about in the back? You guys see that okay? Sweet. Okay, so this is a really basic architecture here. I mean, you can see I got a basic CLI, which I'm not even going to open because we don't need to for this. I have a server that's empty, and I have a scraper document that's also empty, bare bones. If I go into my terminal here, and I just do a quick log, you can see I have some commits that are already there, but we'll kind of build on top of those to start now. Instead of writing code, because that takes up too much time, I've already sort of set this up, so I'll just go ahead and do my first commit, just like that, right into the copy. Cool. And pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. So let's go ahead and paste this in. What this code actually does is not all that important because it's pretty self-explanatory. You just can't see all of it because I'm very zoomed out, but we're basically making an Express server and just making it run on, you can't see it here, but on port 4400 by default. So that means if I go ahead and run my wonderful CLI, great, I have to save this file. If I go in here, run my CLI, you can see I have an Express server running on port 4400, and we're good to go. This is the beginning of our entire project. So, where's my handy sheet here? So, we're going to start with the very first commit of our whole project, and we're going to explain, before I get into that, I have shortcuts. I'll be more than happy to share them. So I have git commit, which is actually shortcut to git commit. I have rebase shortcutted to rebase, and I have obviously log shortcutted. Just so, I'm going to just type those, I'm so used to them, but just so you know what I'm doing. So I'm going to go ahead and commit this and explain why I did this commit. And the reason I'm adding Express and doing this is because at the end of the day, I need a web server to serve up the copy list. That's why I'm doing this commit. I can say I added an Express server, I bound to something, but at the end of the day, this is why I'm introducing these dependencies. This Express server is to do that. So that's the very beginning of it. We're going to go ahead and add a new person to this project. It's just me all the time, but we're going to pretend that I'm doing commits on master, and Jimmy, the developer, is doing his commits on a branch. I'm going to do everything that's server related. Jimmy's going to do everything that's scraper related. So we're going to go ahead and go into a new branch, pretend we're Jimmy, and because I like puns, we're going to call it scapegoat. It's funny.
You're all retry the wheel.
Yeah, exactly. So here, we're doing the same thing that I did before, so I'm going to just copy a thing here, there, into copies, cool. So now Jimmy's working on scraper. I'm going to go ahead and paste this, and all we're doing here is I'm going to make a simple request. I'm going to go to matter of taste. I'm going to console this out, and it's going to be all fine. I could write a test to do this, but to prove that this does in fact work, I'll do it the old-fashioned way, which is I'll actually execute it inside the REPL. Type. Execute that. So what did I do wrong here? Alright, so we're going to go ahead and execute that. There's all the HTML that comes from matter of taste. So clearly my module works. So I can go ahead and look at my status, look at my diff. There's everything I did. What did I do here? Well, I don't really care what I did. I obviously wrote something that goes to matter of taste. But the reason I did this is because requests should go to the matter of taste website. Go to website. That's where we're getting our copies from. It's from matter of taste. You can tell exactly what I did from the diff itself, right? It's very self-explanatory to see that it's hitting that website. So then we go in here. Okay, I have a response. I can go on to my next commit as Jimmy the developer, which is already saved. So let's go ahead and copy that as well. It's hard to type while you stand. Like, okay, so I have that. We'll just replace part of this. Take a look at what we wrote here. So what do we do now? So now we're still going to matter of taste, but now we're doing some funky stuff. We're getting Cheerio involved, and We're going to go through, do some crazy matching and some regex replacing and some substringing and then some more replacing. But before you know it,
First line.
first line, thank you very much. But before you know it, if I do that and I run it again, like magic. Oh no, I'm close. I'm close. Now I actually am using the correct. I'm using a pattern now. So let's go ahead and log in. Look at that! Whoa! Coffees. By the way, banana cream, best coffee they have. Oh yeah, sorry, am I blocking it this one?
Yeah.
Oh, why somebody say something? All right, so there you go. There's the list of coffees. Everybody see past the kind of choice. Pardon? Yeah, very cool. Yeah.
Splat.
What's that?
Learn the butterfly character is splat L.
Splat L.
Like it looks like you hit a bug. So it's not everywhere.
Splat one.
Yeah, I think I know which one that is. But that's okay, because you can see it now, right? My error put it up at the top, so you're all good. You guys understand. That's all I'll do from now on. I'll just make an error, and then it's fine. Okay. So, cool. So now that I have that, I can run a commit. So I can look at that. I'm all good to go. So let's go ahead and commit it. And now we're doing this because the scraper should return the list of copies. Right? That's why. When in doubt, my keywords are should and need. If I'm not really using those words in my commit message, I'm probably saying what I did instead of why I'm doing it. This module does X versus this module needs to return this. So this module should do this. It's a general rule, doesn't always apply, but it's a good way to get you starting to think down that road. Perfect. So now, if I look at my if I look at my commit list, this is pretty easy to read. All right, I've made 3 requests, and they're all pretty obvious why I changed my code. I did it so that I can have a web server show up a list. I'm using matter of taste, and I should be returning a list of copies from that website. Very easy. I don't even have to look at the disk. I don't have to do anything because this is why I'm changing my code. First step. We're all good. Now we can move on to the second piece of it, which is to not use rebase. That's what generally, beginner Git, intermediate Git, most people don't use rebase. Some advanced users just stay away. They just use merge in general. My argument is that take your favorite book that you've ever read and imagine reading it like this document, where every edit that's gone with the editor, every sentence with all of everything is kind of strapped in there. And you can kind of make your way through it and be like, oh yeah, that's what Harry Potter did. Oh, that's what, you know, it doesn't help. Yeah, okay. Kind of showed a little bit of myself there. But so I think if you had to do it like this would not be a very enjoyable reading experience, nor does it make sense for the final novel to look anything like this. Because at the end of the day, it's pretty up there, right? Your code is a journey, and your Git log is the novelization of your journey. The novel should be clean, it should be pristine, and easy to understand. There are a lot of ways to use rebase. I'm going to use it in pretty much 2 ways, both of which can be discussed by this. For those who don't really understand what rebase is, instead of looking at these commits and then doing a merge commit to update the branch, I'm going to take this head position and I'm going to rewrite history and make it as if it happened like this all along. If your diffs are atomic, if they're fairly separated, then that's done immediately because there's no diff complex. Otherwise, you might have to fix a few conflicts here and there. Generally speaking, this is going to be a reasonably easy operation with minimal input needed from you, unless something goes really weird. But even so, once you get used to it, it's easy to work through them. So what is this going to let us do? This is a Git log from a project I did, you can see, look, December 22nd, 2013. For people who can't read it at the back, all the dates are the same, and all the Git messages, all the log commit messages are the same as well. This is ugly. Like, if you were to see this anywhere, this is bad. And I'm not proud of it. I did it, and it's out there. right? Imagine if I could change this into this. That's what it should be. So up here, this says debugging Heroku, because we've all been there, right? So debugging Heroku. And then this says needs to be able to deploy to Heroku. Those 12 commits was because I wanted to do this. That's what it should have looked like in the end. But there's more that I can do with this, because merge commits are a very special kind of commit. And the community is pretty split. Half people seem to think merge commits are completely useless and they should just die and never exist. And the other half likes it. I'm saying if you use rebase the way I'm going to tell you how to use rebase, not only are merge commits nice, they're very, very helpful. This is a graph that we generate at GitHound that shows commits. Anything that's dark, a dark point on this line here, is a commit that's on master, or on the branch you're looking at. But for this example, let's say master. Anything that's light is a commit that's off master. And anything that's a big dot is a merge commit. So you can see here, they've had a lot of merge commits on this master line because they're just bringing that branch up to date so that they can probably merge it in later. So when I hover over it, all of these dark commits that are on that branch are useless. These merge commits mean nothing because they're just an arbitrary point in time when a developer decided to update their branch so that they can maybe merge it in at some other point in time. I'm going to show you the exact same graph on one of our systems called Cloud. So this is GitHound. There's a lot of stuff on this page, but I'm going to focus only on the graph right now. Notice how, if I look back here, you look at the top, you have two dots that are dark on the top there, and everything else is light. And you look here, it's pretty much almost the opposite. You have a majority of the commits are dark and are big. And that's because these are merge commits. And when I hover over them, they represent a body of work that was done. Because every time I was doing work in the branch, I would update it to rebase without a merge commit, so it would just bring the branch up to date, and when I merge it, it's a whole unit of work that means something. These are all features. Every time you see a big dot, that's a feature being merged in. That's what that means. I changed one thing about how I do Git with rebase, and now this means something. I can already look at my cadence, I can look at everything and understand it, and I don't have to explore anything. It just comes free with the package. So I can look at this and say, oh, this is 1, 2, 3, 4 commits, got merged there, and it's one feature. I know that, I wrote that. So I already know. I didn't have to do anything. So you might be like, okay, that's pretty cool. All right, I'm quasi-convinced. This is another example of that. This is a snapshot of Cloud at an earlier time. You can see all the merge commits. So you'd be like, okay, well, how do you do it? Well, it's not as hard as you might think. I don't know if you could read that in the back. I'm sorry if you can't. Typically what you do is you'll be in your feature branch and you say, I want to merge master into my feature branch. Right? And then you have the merge commit and you'll be all up to date, everything's good. I'm saying stop doing that. Go to your branch and then do this rebase -i master to bring it up to date. The I is optional because all that's going to do is going to show you the commits. I'll go into it very soon. Show you the commits that you're about to rebase on top of that head position, and allow you to do different things in case you want to. You can squash commits, edit commits, all at the same time. That's a little bit outside the scope of this talk. You could do a whole day workshop on just rebase. We won't go there. Instead, I'm just going to show you the simpler method, or the simple method that we're going to use for it. So, let's go ahead and go back to master. And so now I'm me writing code for the server. So, I'm going to go ahead and write some code. That into that. And notice I'm on a different branch so that my scraper object is empty because I'm not on that branch anymore. So now we're on server here. I'll paste it. And so what do we really do here? Well, we introduced this function called bind routes. It's just going to do a get method for /mot, which is right now it's a placeholder. It's going to be like this is totally going to be the list of copies that we're going to send back. But for right now, me, I don't have that list of copies because Jimmy is the guy working on it. So I don't have that yet, but I'm making it so that he can easily integrate into this later. And all I did was add this function here so that we actually find it. Cool. So if I launch my server again, there it is running on 44, and I go in here and I do this. Can't see that, but that says list of copies, right? We have our placeholder, it's all ready to go. Perfect. And what did I do here? We're ready to commit this. So I said that the server would bind the MOT route. This is because now when I look at this commit message, I know /MOT is a thing. And that's what we're going to be using. Awesome. So this is where the magic happens. This is where we'll go back into scapegoat. And now it's Jimmy the developer's turn to do some stuff. So we'll go back and cat our commit. Cool. No, I messed that up. Alright, so I'll go back in here. Okay. Here. Okay, so now Jimmy the developer has come in here and has replaced the placeholder with his scraper function. And says, oh, now I'm going to use the scraper that I built, return this list, send it down, and everything should work just fine. So I'll go ahead and launch this just to prove it to you and to myself. Do this, and I have copies. Applause. All right, so now that we have that, I'm going to go ahead and commit this change. Because really, scraper should tie in with the routing. That's what we're doing with this commit. We're replacing the placeholder that I put in so Jimmy could work his magic. Awesome. What do we got here? So, so if I try and rebase master, oh, see, I made a boo-boo. Yeah, I did. I made a see, I didn't bring my thing up to date first. Yes, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to use rebase to show you that I'm actually behind on master. I was in a weird state there. So, really, what Jimmy should have done, bad Jimmy, I don't even know why it worked back then, is he should have said, okay, well, I'm ready to make my commit, but there's a change on master that I made that set up that MOT route, right? And there's a placeholder there. So you should have brought his branch up to date with master. Instead of doing a merge commit, because what I could have done, really, is I could have said, well, I want to merge master. Oh man, I am in a bad state. But okay. I could have merged master, and we've all done it. You see the little message that says, oh, you're about to have a commit message that says, I'm going to merge master. Do you want to proceed? Instead, I'm going to do a rebase of bio, which is going to tell me, these are the two commits that you're going to place on top of master. And I would have said, yeah, go ahead, do it. It would have rebased it, and it would have been fine. And then when I would have gone back in, this is what I would have seen. I would have had Jimmy the developer would have seen this in his branch. So we're on scapegoat. He would have seen this placeholder that I wrote on master. Because I updated the branch to master by replacing the head. And then he could have gone in and done this thing that we just did. Pretend like you hadn't seen it yet. Right? Go in, do the thing, save it, run it, come back here, refresh it, still doing some copies, applause, it's all good. So, we would have used, instead of having a merge commit, now what we have, as you can see here, normally what we would have had a merge coming in from master into our branch of scrape build, and then these two commits. Instead, what we've done is we've moved these two commits, which were underneath this master commit, we just put them on top. Save as a merge commit. But we still updated our branch. That's what we can do by doing this rebase merge strategy. I don't need a branch. I don't need a merge commit every time I want to update. So it keeps my branch clean of these merge commits, so when I do a merge from the branch into master, it's a purposeful merge, and it means something. So if we go back into this, we can finally go on to our last point, which is the most controversial sometimes, which is, a lot of people think of committing early and often, and I want to be very clear that I completely agree with committing early and often. I think it's a great idea. But I don't want you to leave it that way. That's the asterisk. Because at the end of the day, a commit is a change, and a change should be atomic. It doesn't need to be small. And the best way I thought of figuring this out and putting it in the context that makes the most sense is if you take your favorite movie and split it up into its 3 acts, and then make each of those movies, or each of those acts a movie that you have to watch, and then wait for the next act. They could do this. You could edit it, film it, edit it, cut it, ship it, and do it this way. But that makes no sense because it's not a whole story. So why would you commit like this? Because this is what I see. I see commits that 3, 4, 10 commits that all are one atomic unit or something, but because they happen to commit it this way, they just leave it like that. And we can use rebase to not have this sort of situation. In fact, you kind of already know how to do it. Well, almost. That's why I'm going to show you. So, now that we're back on here, on ScrapeGo, if I take a look at my log, we've already done this. Like this idea of returning a list of coffee and this going to the Matter of Taste website, these two things together, really, if I were to show the last one, what we did here was we actually changed the commit to get the list of coffees, but if I were to show the one before that, yeah, then this is an intermediary step. I did this commit so that I could make sure that I could get stuff from Matter of Taste, and then after the fact, continue. This commit isn't needed. So I can go ahead and go back. Right, I have to actually save this. So we didn't actually commit the last one. If you remember, it was the scraper should tie to the MOT route. That's what we wrote last time before I messed it up. But now we're good. So now I can use rebase. I could use rebase to go back in time and say these two commits. Oh, sorry. Yeah, these two commits here should be squashed together, right? So we had one that goes to the Matter of Taste website, one that returns the list of coffees. I can squash these together into one, and I can keep the second commit message and say, this is what I wanted to do the whole time. I didn't need them to be 2 commits. So now when I look at it, instead of having 3 commits on this branch, I've gone it down to 2 commits. You'd be like, oh, so what? You got rid of 1 commit. No, I got rid of 1/3 of the commits. All right? Because if you do this enough, you get rid of a lot of commits. Yeah, this is a simplistic example, but you can't argue. I got rid of 1/3 of the commits. So now, we're all up to date. Git push, GitHub, Bitbucket, whatever you use, it's all good. Now you have the big green button, right? So I can go into master, and I'm going to mimic the big green button, which is a merge, but the way that GitHub does it is they use this noFF, which basically forces a merge commit, which is good in this situation. Let's ScrapeGo. That's what I want to do. It's going to say, oh, you want to merge this branch? And I say, yeah, damn right I want to merge this branch. Cool. So now what do you have? You have something pretty. So you have the merge commit, which represents these two commits, a body of work, which was the scraper that we just built, followed on top of all the work we did to get the server set up. Every commit tells us what we did. I don't even have to look at the diffs, and it's all there. What do we have? We have, how many do we have? I got 10 commits. That's not bad. What if I were to go to maybe something that's more of what I tend to see, which is my kind of favorite sort of stuff. So, file system corresponds to two of these commits up here. Added commander. Who here knows what commander is? Good. It's a CLI. Right? That doesn't mean anything. Cool. Added express server. If you don't know what node is, you don't know what express is. If you went up, remember we said I needed a web server to find it. Routing. What route? I don't know. It's up there. I already told you what it is. Hit the website. Scrape the website. Make it work. How many of you seen that? That doesn't mean anything. Right? And in here you had lint fixes. We could rebase all of that out so that you never even see lint fixes. How many times have you seen lint fix in a commit log? You should never see that. That is a useless commit. So you're going to be like, okay, well, so what? What does that mean? That's 12 commits versus 10 commits. 16% increase. What if I told you, actually with a lint commit, that would be 13 commits versus 10, so that's 33%. You might think, oh, what's the big deal? 1,000 commits, and I tell you, you can do these 3 rules, and I'll get rid of 330 commits out of your repo. Less you have to look at, less you have to bisect through, less you have to ask questions to your development. That's at least worth thinking about. Right? It might not be worth completely switching if you're not 100% convinced, but it might be worth thinking about. That's really all I want to talk about. Because at the end of the day, if you have the right tools, you'll be the one that wins. Right? So, you have the right tools, you get the right effect at the end. At VidHound, we use these commit messages in the Y, and we've already, I would say we've decreased developer questions by at least a third since we started doing this. Because I don't need to ask people anything. The title explains why, the deeper description talks about the rationale, how they did it, why they did it, a little bit further. I'm not saying these are hard and fast rules that you need to follow to the letter. All I want is for you to think about this. It's a little bit different than what you're used to, and maybe incorporate it into how you use Git at your own personal level, as your organizations. So that's pretty much all I got. Thanks very much for letting me share this with you. If you do want the slides, they're there. If you want access to this repo, if you're in Kitchener-Waterloo, we actually tie this in. So if you go to, here it is. Oh, I misspelled it. There it is. Type coffee in Slack, and presumably it will not work because I'm demoing. There it is. All right. So for those who can't see it, it's up top. I'll just move this. I can't move it. So here. There you go. There it is at the top. So there you go. We use the exact same code to power that integration. So if you're actually interested in using this in your organization, in KW, talk to me, we'll get you all of that. Cool. Thank you very much. Again, I work for VidHound. Please go and check us out. Okay. We're in beta right now, so it's free for open source. All you want, 14 days free trial for any private stuff. We want feedback. We love good feedback. We love bad feedback even more. So please try us out and let us know what you think. Thank you very much.